So it's good evening. It's 5:30 p.m. and we're starting the March meeting of the Doylestown Township Public Water Sewer Advisory Committee. The first topic on the agenda this evening is the approval of the February meeting minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at those? John?
Have no corrections. If
Bob?
nobody else has corrections, I will move that the minutes be accepted.
We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
No one opposed, so it's passed. No guests this evening. Stephanie, do you want to give us a quick update on the sewer project in Pebble Ridge, Woodridge?
Sure. The project is moving along. The authority, the Sewer and Water Authority believe they'll be done probably by July. We're hoping early to late mid-July. Our bids are out for some of the base paving, and the curb work will follow that needs to be done. Keith's group has completed the water installation. They just have to finish up some laterals on Springdale, but they're done there. And, things are kind of moving along. We've probably had about 54 properties that have obtained the EDU.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, so of the 250, so still,
That's not a
still a
bad
lot
start.
available.
That's not a bad start considering how many people said they didn't need it, so.
Yeah, so that's between 19, 20, and 21. So it's coming along, and I think now that water's out there, definitely getting more calls from realtors and people interested in buying and selling. So I'm sure as spring, starts to come to Doylestown, we'll see more of that.
Great. Anybody have any questions for Stephanie on that? Keith, you want to jump in on the water side at all? I don't think there's really a change since we met last. Keith, you're muted.
Yeah, hi, everybody. So our contractor is basically demobilized from the site. We are roughly, I think, 85% complete done our project. We have some services that we need to install on Springdale Road. We coordinated with the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority, and we're going to allow them to install their sewer first or in Springdale. And then once they're done, we'll get our contractor back on site to do the work. But Public Water is now on multiple streets, and we are in the process, the township and the authority of in the process of hooking people up and collecting information for people and working with plumbers to connect people. So it's going really well. We're pleased. The project went well. We got a little bit more to do on Lower State Road, but that'll be dependent on Toll Brothers. So we're excited.
When does water actually fill the pipe and be available to draw into homes?
Yeah, that's a good question. So right now, all the water is tested and filled in the pipe. So plumbers are in the process of extending the copper from the main to the people's homes. So right now, all we would have to do is finish the plumbers need to finish the work inside the house, but all we would have to do is turn a valve out by the street and they can have public water now. So it's been tested, it's got chlorine in it. And yeah, we're just working with people to get them connected.
Did we put in hydrants, also water hydrants with that project, or no?
Yes, yep. Well, there's I think maybe 30 hydrants or so that we put in, 20 maybe. So yes.
A
That
lot of
should help
dogs in
with
the neighborhood are
insurance.
going to be happy, John.
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 20 hydrants went in.
Great.
So yeah, it's everything's getting done. We're working with the township and I know we're anxiously waiting the sewer to get done, all their work in the street, and then the roads will be paved and we'll be good.
I appreciate that. Anybody have any other questions for Keith? All right, next topic is Stephanie, is there any update on the 537 at this point?
Nothing in particular. I did reach out to them, let them know that, we're looking for them to do some updates and how they're progressing. I know they were asking us for data on their annual, what they call the waste load management plan that they have to get, how many, so they were looking and gathering our data and double checking, how many units are on the land development side of the books, that could be forthcoming that would impact going forward. And they do that model out about 3 to 5 years. It's a spreadsheet I provide them. So they just did that recently. So, they'll need that information for the plan as well, So I know they're working on that.
All right, any questions, comments? Okay,
Yeah.
move on to our main topic that we've been working on, which is the private well water testing initiative. I just wanted to update everybody on my end first that I reached out to Dr. Ricotta over at Delaware Valley University. She is in charge of environmental sciences there. And we haven't talked personally yet, but I did reach out and let her know that our committee is working on this project. And I shared with her the information that Jenny had come up with, that Penn State Extension had conducted some private well studies in other parts of the state. And that we were reaching out to see if possibly Delaware Valley University would be interested in working with Doylestown Township on a project with regard to our private well testing initiative. They've worked with us in the past on soil studies when we were working on evaluating the need for public sewers. And when I hear back from her, I will report to everybody and let you know what she says. In the interim, when I sent the email with the meeting minutes and the agenda, everybody has all of the contact information and website from our meeting last month. And I think we were going to talk this month about some of the bullet copy that we could come up with for putting on a website. I'll tell you that after spending more time looking at the Penn State Extension and some of the videos that Jen had provided us links to, that I think that they've done most of the work, if not all of it, for us to a large extent. I think we could take a lot of what they have and incorporate that into our web page, and again, giving them proper credit for it.
Yep.
I'm open to hearing what Bob, John, what you guys are suggesting.
Well, there were a couple of videos that that I thought were pretty helpful. I picked out 3: protecting your well water, water well maintenance and rehab, and then bacteria problems in wells and springs. I thought that those were sort of decent anchor videos, if you will, to speak to some of the broader topics that we care about for well quality, and hopefully what well owners are thinking about, or should be thinking about, I should say.
I looked at the New Jersey site that was finding arsenic in the water, and a lot of those sites were very close to Pennsylvania, Bucks County. The fact that you mentioned, Joe, that in digging up the road that there was arsenic discovered in that stone really makes me question what might be leaching into the surface water as well as the groundwater into the well water. And I think that that ought to be on one of the list of things to test for. That surprised me. I would have thought that those contaminants would have come from another source, but you say they're natural, and I guess based on New Jersey, they are.
Hey Keith, could you jump in here for a minute? Because this is really, you're probably, or definitely are the most experienced of everybody here. What are your thoughts to the potential of arsenic leaching into the I guess the water table? Do we test that, by the way, for our public system?
Do test for arsenic. I
Can
forget.
you put your
what the-
volume? There you go. Okay,
Can you hear me?
now I can hear you.
Okay, so yeah, DTMA as a public water system, we are required to test for arsenic. Fortunately, our wells are below all the maximum contaminant levels that the EPA and the DEP set. Some of our neighbors, Buckingham, I think up in Percy, they actually have to treat and remove for arsenic. So we do, a well does contain arsenic. And as I always say to everybody, our water is not distilled water. It does have some contaminants in it. And arsenic is one of the contaminants. You really can't treat, or you can, but if you treat to remove everything from your water, you're going to be paying a lot of money for your water. So EPA develops risks and models that that are based on a human consuming 8 gallons or eight glasses of water a day, drinking it over 50 years. That may enhance your chance for cancer, maybe 5%, or it's all based on risk assessment. So I think what the DEP mandates at this level is we just want to make sure that we're not drinking a contaminant that is just so above the MCL that you have a high likelihood of developing cancer. So I think a private well owner should test for arsenic. We have become known that we're finding in the Pebble Ridge and Woodridge neighborhood that the soils have naturally containing naturally high levels of arsenic. That doesn't mean that arsenic is trickling down 500 or 700 feet to the groundwater. That's not the case. So this arsenic is just mainly in the maybe the upper 3 or 4 feet of the strata. So you really can't correlate anything like that, but it's something that is prevalent in water, across the country. So I don't know if that answered the question from the context.
Well, I think most of the well water wells are not 500-600 feet deep in Doylestown Township. I'd say the majority of them are anywhere from 40 to 60 to maybe 80 feet deep.
Right. No, I would agree. I would say maybe on average 100 to 150 feet for private residentials. Our wells are 500 to 700 feet deep. So, we draw off from what's called a different aquifer, a different vein. And the theory is as the water percolates through the ground, it's being naturally purified. So, yes, I mean, there could potentially be higher levels of arsenic, maybe in private wells, since those are situated not as deep as a public water system. But that's something that I guess you'll only find out if you test. But I know that we're not DTMA is not above any health levels. And you can remove arsenic if you have it. I think you can remove it from some sort of special filter in your house.
Activated filter, activated carbon.
I'm not sure activated carbon will work. You might need some sort of reverse osmosis, but that's a good question. We'd have to look at that.
Okay. I appreciate your feedback there, Keith. If
Sure.
anybody can answer the question, you could.
Yeah, no, I hope I did. I was talking to Dave Tomko, sorry. So I'm not sure if I got the whole gist of what you guys were talking about there.
I think you pretty well answered it. Any other comments on that? So Stephanie, what I'd like to find out from you, when do we need to, what's the deadline for submitting an article for the next newsletter?
I'm gonna say by the 25th. We're looking for articles by the end of the month. So the
Okay.
sooner the better. So I'll give you to like, say March 30th to get them in.
Well, I'm gonna put down for myself 325 because I'm better.
Yeah,
I need a
when
little
we
bit.
start, yeah.
leeway
The
in
sooner
there.
the better. But I would try to do some of your keep it simple. I mean, like Aaron said, there's not a lot of, verbiage in the things like 300 to 500 words. So, keep it simple. Maybe talk about some of the links that you found, why that we've noticed a lot of, people may not test their wells, especially for those who don't have a septic system. There's no requirement to test if they're on public sewer, and it's, although you may have tested at the time you bought the house, maybe it's been a while since you tested, you might want to consider testing, that kind of thing. And then identify some of the sites, and then maybe say that you're going to work to add a page to the township website, and where information will be available permanently, kind of thing.
If you add a couple more words to that, you can write the article.
And you said you thought that Dan Wood?
Yes.
Okay, you said you did not think the supervisors had the appetite to put out any regulations to require testing, either at sale or if given the concerns that we have, and if we find out by one of our studies that there could be, that we should be doing some testing, do you think that the supervisors may have an appetite for making certain criteria required, certain once 5 years at the sale, what have you?
So there are two parts that, one, I think if you could find some kind of data to back that up, I think it would be worth having that discussion again. There was no clear data the last time. It was just like, oh, well, we should do this, and there was hesitancy to move forward based on that. And the other part of it is this kind of fear of being seen as the first in the state to mandate anything like this. I don't believe I think when we went over this, there was no discussion that the state doesn't even mandate this. I think there was some discussion that some municipalities in New Jersey might, but I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, Dan, the state of New Jersey has an act that in place that at the time of sale, you have to test for about 35 different contaminants if you have a private well.
And that was a state level.
That's correct.
Right. Yeah. And also, Dan, and to the committee, Keith and I met with and Jeff Garten, I think, was there too when we were going through the proposed ordinance. We met with the realtors, and there is an option, and Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, there is an option when you're doing a sale of a home and you're the buyer that you can check a box that you want to have the well water tested, and they have a litany of things they will test for as part of the purchase and sale of a home. But there's also a box right next to it that you can check that, says, I don't want to have anything done. So, careful which box check, so to speak. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And in the limited amount of people that we've spoken to, the people that get in trouble are the ones that don't check the box. And I think we dealt with maybe one or two people a few years ago, Stephanie, that
Yep.
they
Mhm.
declined to test the well water, and basically their well water was unusable
Yeah.
and undrinkable. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's something that maybe we throw out, as far as some sort of educational, whether it's on the website or anything, hey, test your water at the time of, at the time of sale. And Dan was 100% right. We put together a preliminary list of what we thought would be, could be tested at the time of sale. But there's basically no regulations or ordinance in place. And, what the DEP ultimately told us is just be careful what you wish for, is I think. And the realtors, the Realtor Association basically said the same thing, that, yeah, you want to protect public health as much as possible, but, you're doing it at a local level where you don't have the resources of a state or a federal government to back it up. So
I'm in favor of John staying in the course that we have, which is focusing on an educational program. And then as part of that, if we bring on somebody like a Del Val or another, university or someone other that would be interested in doing, some actual studies. And if we had something concrete after that, from there, we might want to actually take that to the state level and present, make a presentation, versus trying to get something done locally.
yeah, it looks like
But
John.
let's focus on
Coming
our
back in.
educational aspect.
Mhm.
All right, anything else on that point? Because if not, I'd like to throw out to gentlemen, Bob, John, that you guys are here, either one of you up to taking a pen to paper and coming up with an article that we could, you could share with the other board members and get finalized.
Okay, I lost you for a couple of minutes. Internet, I don't know why.
Okay, I was asking if either you or Bob would be interested in penning an article for the newsletter.
Concerning, I'm sorry.
It would be just talking about, that our committee is working on this educational, program, and talking about some of the, tying in some of the links that Jen Kimball had come up with, talking about why you should be testing your well water. Basically, it's, something like, hey, what you don't know, what could possibly, what's in my well water article, basically.
I thought,
Why test some of the links, and talking about the fact that we would be having a page on the website coming up in the near future with educational information.
Joe, I'm looking at the minutes, and I thought Wally shared a draft on the topic for the newsletter, and I thought he
Yep.
was willing to draft that. Because, Bob's already pretty much drafted the pages for the website, I think.
Which he did,
Obviously,
right.
Bob may want to look at the links and make sure those links are, Aaron's coming. May want to add those links on the website. And I didn't know, I know everybody probably got it, and I didn't know if you wanted to share it or not, but I think that's probably what would maybe be, and maybe the other thing you want to add on what contaminants, maybe we add arsenic there as a item to be
All
tested.
right, well, I'll tell you what, if Wally doesn't pop into the meeting, I'll give him a call.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
We'll
I
confirm
did
Wally's
share
work.
I shared his draft with everybody that sent
Mhm.
out.
Is that this one?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Okay,
It's just a matter of fine tuning that to tie into some of the suggestions that Stephanie had on the links and white testing, cleaning it up to fit within the 300 to 500 word limit. That's all.
Mhm.
All right, so I'll reach out to Wally because I want to make sure we have something in the next newsletter.
Okay.
And then,
Particularly saying that we're working on the project and we expect to come out with a website.
yes, a page for the township website.
Mhm.
And then whatever's done will be shared with the entire committee before handing it off to Stephanie, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, we'll
Hey,
edit. We'll
hey,
edit
Joe.
accordingly.
So it might be helpful to Wally too, would be, being that if you haven't read through his draft, to read through it, and you might want to even send him an email with some suggestions that you may have to include in it, that's all.
Would this be a start for a short article?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
and
that
I-
was Stephanie's right, that's, to her point, that's exactly what she was recommending.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to add some changes, at least what I thought might be changed in it.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm sure Wally will be open to suggestions from everybody and incorporating it into an article.
Okay.
Bob, you on board with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. You got something else you want to bring to you look like you're about to say something there.
Yeah, I was going to ask, would it be helpful if we nailed down the outline of, or like sort of the flow of the pages that we that I put together for the well information pages that would ultimately go to the site?
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
and that's good because Aaron's on and he maintains the site, so that he can certainly give insight into that.
If you could take the lead on that, Bob, you've already done a lot of the legwork for it, that'd be great. Because I think some of it's just going to be tying in the links that from that Penn State extension.
Yeah, and even before that, Joe, I think what I wanted to make sure was, do you mind if I share? Because I actually pulled up the doc.
Yeah, no,
Go
go
right
ahead.
ahead. Yeah, it's such a multiple share.
All right, let me do this. Okay. We'll share. Okay, I'm actually on, I'm on two screens, so I'm paying attention. I'm just looking at the other one. So the, this was just sort of the lead in one. So I feel like where we got to was, obviously being added. So we're on slide 3, and this is sort of the introductory of well. Maybe we're not even calling it well testing. Maybe we're just referring to it as well maintenance, as not only in the left-hand nav bar on the lower side, but obviously at the header as well. If we're just going to label it as well maintenance, or however we feel is the right language. But as far as the body of the content, speaking to private well ownership, and then well water testing basics, and those questions should really be subsequent pages, right? So if we can agree on those questions, we'll effectively have our outline for content, right?
Hey, Bob.
Yeah.
What if we called it, just like we said, sewer information?
Yeah.
Well water information.
Yeah, that's fine.
This way it's not just focused on testing, because a lot of what we're talking about is beyond just testing. It's just a bit of an educational aspect to it.
Yeah, certainly. We'll edit in real time.
Steph, what do you think there?
I mean, that's fine. Aaron, this would be for people not only, I mean, obviously under the septic management program, there's the well testing requirements, but this is just general information on well water. And for all those people who, are gonna, because I mean, don't forget, we've got areas of the township that have public sewer and on-lot wells, and there's no requirement for them to do any testing whatsoever.
Right.
And I think that, you're also going to have a whole group of people in the Pebble Ridge, Woodridge area that are going to come out of the septic management program. And so they'll no longer, quote unquote, be required to do any of that, even annual testing on their well. So, this will be good information as a reminder that, hey, I should test, I should maintain, I should, what do I do? And so I think it's beneficial to, sort of everyone.
Hey, Keith, do you have any objection if, to tying this into the DTMA site also?
The only thing that I would ask is if there's some delineation between private wells and maybe public water. Maybe under, DTMA, there's a tab that says, private water wells or something like that.
Right.
Information there. I just
I would
want to
link
make
it back. I would just move it back, Keith. I mean, Aaron, do you agree? I think if you're on the tab and some people may be looking at homes in the township to purchase, and they may be thinking, oh, I've got public water, but they may have one or two in the mix of the homes they're looking at that they don't have public water. And so, you could have a tab, or just a small link that takes them to this page if, they want information on private well,
Sure.
private well water information, and shoots them over here.
Yeah. As long as we differentiate between a public, maybe we put a paragraph, public water, DTMA, I can write something, and then we differentiate, what is, so some people don't know the difference between a private well and a public well. And
Anything that would be done has to have your blessing anyhow, so.
yeah, but no, that's fine. I see no problem with that.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Bob. I just wanted to get those thoughts out there.
Yeah, no worries. I just want to make sure. So, private well ownership content, is like, I'm open to edit. Like, everything I wrote is, this is really just sort of an introductory piece to say, here's what follows. But I think the point I was making earlier was well water testing basics. If there are questions we want to include in there, or we want to edit them or change them or whatever, that's fine. I do think that those well water testing basics can effectively be the next series of slides. So I think probably what I did was the well hygiene basics, that became the topic, right? And that was from this first question. So,
Right.
but yeah, again, what I'm getting at is, do we have the right questions around this content? And then, there probably should be, once we get through all of them, we could probably have like an additional resources page as well that has the PSU links in them, or hosts their videos with their credit. So like I said, I'm open to making this the way we all want it.
Yeah, I agree. I think you definitely want a resources page. We, under septic management and well testing requirements, have the labs, but we could certainly insert the water testing labs that, have registered with us, so
Yeah.
we could add that in there as well. But I think definitely all the links and the information that John sent to today with the home water testing from EPA, maybe another link that you want to have as a resource.
Yeah, that was a great piece there, John. Bob, did you get that?
Well testing from the EPA.
Yes.
I don't,
It says home water testing across the top.
No, he just sent it to you and to
I just
me.
sent it recently.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
all
only sent it to you and me, Joe.
right. I got it right here. Bob, I'm gonna forward it to you right now while
Okay.
we're on the phone here.
Yeah, send it to Dan, everybody else, so they
Yeah,
have it.
I'm sending it to everybody right now.
I probably should have sent that to everyone. I didn't think that.
No, that's all right.
Okay.
Bob, you can keep going if you want while I
Okay.
send this out to everybody.
yeah, sounds good. So, I guess for the group, make sure I can capture all this. Oop, oop. I guess for the group, are these questions adequate? Are they enough? At least from a starting point.
It's interesting, you have the second question there, are there events that prompt well testing my well? And that's in, when you have the opportunity to read the information from John, it says when to test your well. And it's like conditions or nearby activity, recurrent gastrointestinal illness, household plumbing, radon. It gives a whole list of things that may do that, and then gives a list of things that you could test for as well. So it point blank, addresses that.
I think there's actually, when you look at the that EPA article that John sent over to everybody, there's a great statement in there under the section where it says private water supplies. It says if your drinking water does not come from a public water system, or you get your drinking water from a household well, you alone are responsible for assuring that it's safe. I think that's a great statement to include.
Yeah.
You're saying maybe we include that actually in this website.
Yeah, we'll have to give
Yes.
credit, but we'll
Yeah.
definitely include it.
Probably on this main page, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would think that would be one of the leading statements that we'd want to have in there. I almost see it as almost like an opening too.
Yeah.
How do I read? I guess, how do I remedy positive contaminant test in the residential home sale and well testing? I'm,
Oh, that's not all one word. That's not all one phrase.
no, I know, I was looking at those. Does it go down any further after, is that the last one?
No,
Sorry.
not yet. Not yet.
Oh, okay. What do you guys, I'm not sure.
Yeah, maybe
In
that comes
terms of the
off.
remedy?
Yeah, well, maybe that comes out so we don't end up getting into this gray areas. I really want to focus on, I don't want to put anything that's controversial in there. We really want to keep this high level so people are focused on testing their wells and learning why they should be testing them.
I mean, obviously if the remedy's either gonna be, they're gonna need to do some sort of private, filtration system, whatever that is, and then, or connection to public sewer if it's available, let's say,
Or public water.
or public water, right? Sorry, what did I
Yeah.
say? I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, it's either gonna have something personal or connect to public water.
Right.
And then home sales and well testing, I don't know what you guys had
That's really what I was talking about. Maybe we should
Oh, okay.
consider taking that out.
Oh, taking this one. Okay.
That's what I meant to take out. I'm sorry, I had jumped ahead.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Now, I'm okay with the remedy positive contaminants. How do I remedy if
Yeah.
you basically direct them to, a private, I don't know, Stephanie, are we allowed to place private water treatment companies on a
No.
website?
No,
No.
We could
they
point
would
them
have to
to,
investigate private water it'd be,
DEP has a pamphlet on treating a well that's contaminated, so we could point to that.
okay.
Sure.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Aaron.
Hold on a minute. I'm gonna make some notes in here so I path it.
Their pamphlet does a step-by-step on how to shock a well.
Okay, that should be, so, just so
That
I'm
works for
clear.
fecal coliform, right, Bob? But I don't know if it'll treat any of the VOCs or anything like that.
No,
You know, I mean, I think you're,
Yeah, it's only for the
He's right.
bacteria.
yeah.
Hey, Aaron, I have a question. As you think about the format of the page, do you see it as just like a brief sentence that explains, you know, click here to view the DEP's step-by-step well remedy process or whatever?
Yeah, there probably will need to be a short sentence to make it clear that that's only for bacteria, and so they know where they're going.
Okay.
I'll have to find out if they have information about other contaminants. But I know I have that one because when I get water tests that are bad coming into the township, that is one of the letters I send out.
Okay. Let's go back to where we were. So just to confirm, we're agreed that these questions are a baseline that we're all comfortable starting with.
Yeah, I'm good with those. Keith, would you suggest anything in addition?
No, I think the list is pretty complete. I like it. I
Okay,
really
then
do.
from there, then the next one that we should probably look at is, we looked at well events. Then we want to look at contaminants should I test, for which I should test, should probably say. I don't know that question is worded correctly. And I could use some help around the stylizing that, because I don't want to.
I think
That's
it's
not
okay. Which
all.
water contaminants should I test for? Maybe that's fine. So I'm not sure. You got total coliforms and fecal coliforms. I'm not 100% certain of the actual method, but I think the way the DEP, the way it's been years since I've followed the procedure, but I think you test for total coliforms first. And if your water sample comes at above a certain threshold for the total coliforms, then you would do another test and test for fecal coliforms. So, you know, that just may confuse some people. You know, maybe you just, it's how detailed do you want to get, you know? And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I guess thinking about it, it could probably stay there.
Should arsenic also be on here?
I was going to suggest that. I believe so.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Should, instead of saying should I test, or should, which water contaminants should be tested? I mean, make it not personal, but more generic about wells and not people. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah, I'm fine with that. There's probably some other points in here where I've used a pronoun that maybe I shouldn't.
And I think, you know, should we say that these are suggested? Because I'm noticing on like the EPA list, there's a number of others that, you know, they're saying recommended: coliform bacteria, pH, lead, copper, radon, hardness, magnesium, iron, copper, magnesium, you know, hydrogen sulfate, color detergents, corrosion, nitrate, metals.
Yeah, that's,
So,
So
I
some
mean,
of this
should
is
we
also
say
specific.
something?
Right, some of this is also specific to where you live.
right.
Sure.
So I think before we finalize this page here, I think I'd like to get a little more information on what we're finding overall in the well water in the area. Maybe we should just touch base with a couple of the the independent testing companies and see if they have a recommended list based on our area of what you should test for.
Okay.
And if you
When I
want, I
get
can make
back,
it.
when I get back to Doylestown, I did inquire with a couple of the testing agents, specifically one, and it's in my files at home. But they did include these. I think there were a few others. And one of the things that was pointed out to me is in testing, if you're testing on some sort of regular basis, be it 2 years, 5 years, you look for a change, a pattern of change.
Correct.
Okay, so Bob, I don't want to get bogged down on this. So let's just say that this is a beginning for this slide and that we want to just see if there's any real recommendations based on our area of what should be tested for.
And maybe sort of a
Could we say
disclaimer too, I'd
among-
suggest, that this list is suggested, but not, sort of recommended, but not
Yeah.
complete, look to other something like that.
Yeah, I almost think you could say suggested contaminants to test for.
Yeah,
Oh, like here?
Yes, at the top there, instead of what contaminants should be tested, suggested contaminants to test for.
How about among those that should be, among those that are suggested or some wording like that, meaning that there could be others, but among those that should be tested or recommended to be tested are these. Which does not make these exclusive.
correct.
Well, I think we would always put down, even at the bottom, that this is a recommended list, some
Yeah,
sort
not
of.
complete. Yeah, it's the disclaimer we need.
Right,
You know.
some sort of a disclaimer.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. There. Is there a good source for this?
Well,
Are you talking like chain of custody when a company comes out and takes the water sample and all that? Is that what I'm not sure what you're getting at. What
Yeah,
does
so
water
we-
testing?
I'm thinking of a simplified way of explaining to well owners that you need to initiate the testing, and either you're taking a sample and bringing it to a lab, or
They're coming out and taking it. It needs to be,
um,
clean. Yeah, you
Yeah, they
need to take
usually
a
give
clean
you an
sample. Yeah.
instruction. If you contact, if they're not coming out, if they're sending it to you, I've done it before. So they send you the container or a couple containers and they give you instructions as to where you should take the water sample from.
we simply say something like the testing agency will give different methods of supplying a sample.
Maybe it's more, maybe the statement is not how does it work, but how do I get my water tested?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the question. And from there, you could talk about, recommend, contacting an independent, you can either take it to an independent lab or contact the local, local county health authority.
Okay.
Is there a source that we trust to fill this page with content?
Aaron,
Like-
do we have some information that we can,
Put any specific companies on there. So I
Right, no, we're
think
not allowed to do that,
I would
right?
just put a
I mean,
couple,
we have companies already that have registered with us, you know, as to be a testing source. And the health department, and we may, but Aaron, do you think we can pull that from the health department? They may have that.
We may have that.
Yeah, okay.
And Aaron, I'm happy to share this with you after tonight's conversation.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, he's gonna have to copy it and put it onto our pages on the website at some point.
I'm just making a note that Doylestown has a registered list. All right, I need to go, I'm gonna go back and ultimately change that. And then the final, the licensed laboratories in the area, how do we want to handle that?
Well, we would have the ones that have registered with us, and I would actually combine that with the last one.
The previous slide?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect.
And then I think the last slide should be all the resources. The Penn State, the EPA, Bucks County Health Department, any other, you know, ones that we come up with as we continue to go through this. I think that's just the information that needs to, you know, sort of be the last one.
Stephanie, are we allowed to put the laboratories on our website?
Yeah, because they've registered with us.
Because they registered.
It's
Okay.
part of the ordinance and everything, yes.
How do we want to refer to them? Like just links or like informational links or additional?
I would use the word resources, additional resources. And then just, you'll pop all the links in and,
Yeah.
and give credit and, you know, thank you to Penn State Extension for providing the following links and EPA and whatever, you know, you'll have, we can add that into whatever, you know, when we go to put it on the actual pages, we can say, you know, thank you to EPA and Penn State Extension for providing the following links.
Okay.
And NJ obviously too. We got a lot of NJ links.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Joe, what should I do next for this?
I think what I'd like you to do, you got it, I think we just got to tighten it up a little bit.
Okay.
Come up with a final pass. And then, I guess at that point, Stephanie, do we hand that off to Aaron or do we need to take this and present it to the Board of Supervisors and ask them if, for, you know, as a make a recommendation that we want to add this to the township website?
Well, I think you get it tightened up and then I think, yeah, I mean, we can share. I mean, I think it's a good way to share with the board, but also share those, you know, the resources and what you've been working on. And, you know, we can slip you in maybe in the April meeting, very briefly to do that, you
You
know.
can make a quick couple-minute presentation on it. That's
Yeah,
it.
just say, we're gonna be adding these pages to the township website. We have an article coming out on the importance of well testing, completely educational, you know, information. And then we'll put it up on it'll just be another, you know, under information on the website, it'll just be, like we said, well water information. Dan, and I say that, but as sort of a processing there, but Dan, do you agree or disagree?
No, I think that'd be fine. I'm not even sure it really needs to go in front of the board, but it would be good for them to know what we're discussing, and
Yeah.
so we can convey that to people as well.
Right. Because I think the board, Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, when the board did not want to go forward with the sort of mandatory well water testing / connect to public water ordinance, they recommended that the Public Water and Sewer Advisory Board work on a well water education program.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So, I mean, I think that's what you're doing here, is you're doing that well water education program.
Dan, I just feel more comfortable presenting it to the Board of Supervisors before it goes on the website.
Yeah.
Only because once it goes on the website, it's like, official township information or whatever,
Yeah, it's probably for the best. But I think my point was more the board should know, but it doesn't necessarily have to be at a meeting. Either way.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't hurt to do it kind of briefly
I think
at the meeting.
idea, too, because then the public will
know it's there. Sure.
Right. And again, I'm not
Okay,
talking a whole, I'm
Steph,
just talking a very, very brief, like 2-3 minute, that's it.
Yeah.
This is what our committee's working on. This is what we were asked to do. This is what we put together. And, here it is.
Mhm.
So Stephanie, does the Public Water and Sewer, do they do an update for the board every year? And did they
Yes,
already?
Well, I did
yes,
one.
everybody's been interviewed. So
Oh,
at the
okay.
next board meeting, just so, the next board meeting 3, we're working from the bottom up, and then the next 3 will be, and every meeting, we're gonna do 3 of the videos that people made, that the chairmans and staff made for their committee. So we'll be doing zoning hearing board, ways and means, and tab at the 6th meeting, and then we're gonna jump to the next 3, which would be like bike and hike and EAs. I'm losing my alphabet, but EAC and bike and hike, and Wally's coming on now. So yeah, so they'll get the chance to present, but they may not present until like June at this rate. So I think this is kind of very brief, separate, and we can add it in, maybe under supervisors, under Dan, we could switch it in there.
Yeah.
And,
that's fine.
And Joe, you can be there to move it along. And I think Wally, yep, Wally's connecting in here.
Wally, you get the credit for being in attendance, if you can hear us.
He's still
Hey.
connecting.
Hey, Joe. So as a next step, I'm going to tighten up some of the spots that we walked through tonight. And then next best path is to send out to this group for review and feedback. And then once we've gotten it to a place, then it should be in a spot where we can share with Aaron, or do you want these for the BOS?
Well, I would definitely share with Aaron so he can do whatever he needs to do to get it ready to go on the site. But I want to make sure it gets presented to the Board of Supervisors first.
Certainly.
Yeah, and I'll need that, the board meeting is April 6th. A packet will go out, it won't be Friday because it'll be Good Friday, so it would be the Thursday before the 6th. What is that?
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the next board meeting. I won't be here. That's that day. I'm just getting home that night.
Mm.
Well, do you want to give me the notes? I can make a quick little presentation. Well, maybe or discussion about it during my supervisor update.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, that would be like the first. So, Bob, we'll need the corrected PowerPoint by the first.
Okay. You need the final edition by the first.
Yes.
Right. So edits
Mm-hmm.
prior to that.
Yep.
For sake of conversation.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Bob,
Wally, can you hear us okay?
Yep.
So, in your absence,
Apologize.
no, I appreciate you jumping in here, and I'm sure your friends appreciative also. So the township newsletter, we have a deadline of, I wrote it down here as being March 25 to submit an article. And we were hoping that you wouldn't mind taking the lead, being that you wrote that draft already. Bob, John, myself, we were just gonna send you maybe some comments to incorporate in there. And if you wouldn't mind fine tuning that
Super.
to within 300 to 500 words.
Yep.
And the thrust of this article is an introduction to the fact, am I correct, that we're working on a website for well water information.
Correct. I think that's what it's all about. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because then they'll be presented the following, they'll have, the residents will hear about it during the Board of Supervisors meeting. They watch that, and then they'll see the website will be up and running.
Yeah. But
What is-
what I'm saying is in this document, do we know what might be in your drink, water we drink? There's no reference right now to a website we're working on a website.
Well, it's the township website, and I think Wally just needs to add that we're gonna have a spot on the township website under information for with additional well water information as a resource that residents can go to at any point. And the nice thing is that you'll write the article, give it to Aaron so he can start to put it in the format and get it to the printer, but then Dan will brief the board on the 6th, and then the actual newsletter reminding people about the website and resource will come out in May to residents. So it's a nice, way for them to kind of hear about it and then read about it and of course go to the website. So.
Thank you.
Again, I'm sorry for being late, but we don't want to indicate that there's going to be a mandate for testing your water.
No.
No,
Exactly.
there isn't.
Strictly
That's right.
educational.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And like I said, we'll send you some notes,
Perfect.
Wally, just some additional comments.
Yeah, and then I'll try to get it done as fast as possible and get it back to everybody to proofread and get approval. Perfect.
Okay. That being said, does anybody else have any other comments or questions this evening?
Was one for Wally, and I'll try to address this specifically, but you do make a statement there. That it doesn't appear to be a local issue for PFOASs. You might put in except for one specific, somehow referring to the problem up in the north east corner with feed-offs. We do have a site.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Wait, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
I was thinking. What of- he's of- saying, Joe, is the area around Meeting House Road.
Correct.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
We've talked about that before at this meeting, that we do have PFAS in that one area.
Well, then
That's
why
I
don't
don't
we,
know if we want to get that detailed.
why even put that in there? Then don't worry about it.
Yeah, I would be in favor of that. This is really about, an educational, hey, you have a private well and here's some information on what you should be looking for.
Yep.
How do you take care of it? How do you test? Things like that.
And stay away from the major issue, that one.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't about a specific contaminant or
No,
specific
no.
area, things like that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's good.
All right, everybody on the same page?
Makes sense.
Anything else this evening?
Thank you so much. Great work, everybody.
Okay, everybody. Talk
Take
to you
care.
soon. Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
All right, guys, take it.